The Walt Disney Company is removing a ton of Disney Plus content. That's something that we likely should have heard before the last earnings report, but it's not something we heard. Disney kept that hush-hush until the big plans were made today. Public, that is. Those plans were actually probably made far in advance. At the same time that Disney is desperately cutting content from its main streaming platform, the company continues to show that it has no idea of what to do with its own franchises. This coming from a leak regarding Dave Filoni, Star Wars, and Lucasfilm, and yet again, sidelining Luke Skywalker, the big draw, from his own story. Here we go. And it's another beautiful day out there, folks. Some people have been questioning, why are we continuing to cover Disney as the company burns down? Well, burning buildings are in fact news, and a house of mouse which is under such a situation is as well. So we'll continue to cover it. We have to. For months on this channel and for years in other places, I've been saying that Disney was making bad decisions that would have serious consequences. Many said that would never happen. Too big to fail. That's the mouse. Well, we're now at the place where that is no longer obvious, and it's definitely no longer true, even to those who might have been skeptical of what we've been saying for such a long time. We're going to dive into where Disney is right now, and we're going to look at how they continue to make really, really dumb decisions that are not at all in their financial interest. This in regard to Luke Skywalker and a new leak that has come out in the last 24 to 48 hours. Before we do that, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to those algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. We begin our journey today in a little place called Variety. This by Todd Spangler. Disney content spending in 2023 may be lower because of writer's strike. CFO, that's Christine McCarthy, aka the real-life Ursula, says. But you know what? This is nowhere close to even approximating the biggest story that's here. Nay, that is this paragraph, which should have been the headline. It deserves its own article. Disney already has been in the midst of a company-wide cost-cutting initiative, with CEO Bob Iger focused on trimming content spending, McCarthy said. Here's the big announcement. We didn't know this until now. It's kind of crazy. Disney expects to take a write-down in the June quarter of $1.5 billion to $1.8 billion from removing content from its streaming platforms. Now, we had an idea that they were going to cut content. We had an idea that it was going to be a major write-off. But the idea of $1.5 to $1.8 billion is now increasing that size. And if we dig into this article, you'll find out that it's all about trying to reduce the losses that the company is taking. They're tremendous for Disney Plus. How you can possibly consider a streaming service that causes you to lose money, vast quantities of money over and over, how you can consider that to be a success, I have no idea. But the streaming platform Disney Plus has lost 4 million consumers, 4 million subscribers in the last quarter, and it's anticipated that that may continue going in the exact opposite direction from what they should do. Now, how did they get there? How have we arrived at this place where Disney Plus is bleeding subscribers and where they are now cutting vast amounts of content in order to get a write-off? Well, we get there through terrible, stupid decisions. And let's talk about one of those that we now know about. This out of LRMonline.com. Campbell Clark is the author. Filoni's Star Wars film to be titled Heir to the Empire. Let's get into it. Now, of course, Heir to the Empire is part of the Timothy Zahn trilogy of books that came out in the early 90s. Super popular. I believe that Heir to the Empire was actually #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, so it's a significant part of Star Wars history. Here's what we know. Well, this is interesting if true. The latest bar-side buzz around Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie is that it will be titled Heir to the Empire. Now, old-timey fans like me will remember that title, and it actually makes a lot of sense. In the now Legends non-canon sequels, Heir to the Empire was the first in Timothy Zahn's famous trilogy of books. The main villain of Heir to the Empire was Grand Admiral Thrawn. And, well, you know he's likely the main villain of Filoni's movie as well. We already know he is the big baddie of the Mandoverse. I think we all knew Heir to the Empire would be a major influence on this movie. However, we also know this must be very far from an adaptation, because that old canon story simply will not work in the Mandoverse. However, according to a regular leaker, MTTSH, the title of the movie will be Heir to the Empire. Check it out. It has the tweet there. Now, here's the issue, folks, with doing this. This will be a movie which shares the name of a novel and not much else. And in addition to that, Luke Skywalker, the hero, who is featured greatly, as well as Leia, by the way, in that very first book from Timothy Zahn, they will likely be mostly absent. This yet again basically confirms, if it turns out to be true, a rumor that I have been reporting on now for weeks, that for the Dave Filoni movie, we are looking at a cameo for the original trilogy characters and nothing more. A cameo. And remember that this is a book, this is a story that was about Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade, and Princess Leia primarily. Now, there are some appearances from other characters, Han Solo and Lando, they're all there. But there's no way that will work. And there's no way it can happen other than the Dave Filoni characters being brought into this. Check out the video that's linked in the description by Echo Base Network. They do a fantastic job laying this out. Let's keep reading. That all being said, this is just a rumor. I would say I trust MTTSH record more on Marvel than any other studios. Big claim, yada, yada, yada. Then it follows up. I really look forward to seeing Star Wars Heir to the Empire, even if that's not what it gets called. As for the Filoni-Favreau thing, isn't it funny Favreau's no longer around to finish off the thing he started? I think we kind of knew that. Favreau takes the lead on Mando, Boba Fett, and probably Skeleton Crew, but Filoni is leading Ahsoka, and he knew he was writing and directing this film. Well, here's what I think is happening. Yet again, we are seeing Dave Filoni come in and put his characters, his creations in place of the characters that we all want to see. And this is why I go back to what we said at the beginning of this video, with Disney making horrible mistakes that are costing them deeply. What do people want to see? They want to see Luke Skywalker. That's what they want to see. Are they going to get Luke Skywalker? No. They're going to get the name of a book that prominently featured him, and it's going to be another bait and switch where we replace that character with characters of lesser interest. Who knows how interesting the Mandalorian characters will be by the time we get here? I have no idea, but the interest is dropping, I can tell you that. We've got more information about this situation. This coming to us from Screen Rant by Corey Larson. Deepfake Luke Skywalker is going to return to Star Wars, whether you like it or not. I don't know why. I mean, Luke Skywalker in the season finale for The Mandalorian, back when he appeared, that character drove that show to become the first ever time that Disney Plus had a top-rated show among all other platforms for a time period. Disney has struggled to replicate that ever again. Why would they not put Luke Skywalker back in there? The problem is, we're probably not going to get much of Luke. It says Luke Skywalker can't ignore a big villain in an upcoming Star Wars movie, which means Disney will likely deepfake him and maybe more actors again. Yet again, folks, they are setting the stage for the rumor that I talked about to come true. That is that Lucasfilm thinks that if they put in this movie Luke, Leia, and Han together, deepfake together in a happy little scene, then guess what? People will come out in droves and they'll forgive them for not doing that with the sequel trilogy. I don't think that's true.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.
This article said the concept of deepfaking or using CGI to de-age characters has always been a hotly debated topic in Star Wars. One of the first examples of deepfaking a character was in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which used the late Peter Cushing's visage to bring Grand Moff Tarkin back to the big screen. We get all that. There's no need to retrace all of that. It goes on to talk about Luke Skywalker's appearance, but here's what we need to get to. Dave Filoni's The Mandalorian movie is expected to cover Grand Admiral Thrawn's return to the Star Wars universe, similarly to how Timothy Zahn did in his Heir to the Empire book series. Now we know that the movie is probably called Heir to the Empire. Even though the movie will likely follow, here's the key point, people, even though the movie will likely follow Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin alongside his adorable adopted son, Grogu, taking on Thrawn's resurgent empire, Luke Skywalker will almost certainly make an appearance. But remember, The original heir to the Empire, Luke did not just make an appearance. Because of his cameos in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, viewers know Luke is actively rebuilding his new Jedi Order in this time period. With Luke being an established player in this time period, it would be strange for him to ignore a threat as big as Thrawn. And it goes on to talk about how they won't recast Luke, they'll bring him back in as a deepfake character, and by the way, they'll do that with the other characters as well. But this harkens back to the same issue. Fans want Luke Skywalker. They want Luke Skywalker in a heroic fashion. Disney purchased Star Wars to have the Star Wars characters. Yet for whatever reason, Disney seems to desire not to use them. Instead, they're putting these B-tier characters in the place of Luke Skywalker in yet another movie. We've already watched The Last Jedi. We don't need to see it again. We know what it feels like to have a character that should not replace Luke do so. And I don't see how having Dave Filoni do it once more, replacing Luke and the other characters with his own creations, even if Ahsoka is cool, even if we like The Mandalorian and Baby Grogu, those are not the characters who should be at the prominence in a movie called Heir to the Empire. That should be true to the novel. Either that or remove the name. And if Disney continues to do this, which they seem to be determined to do, then we will continue to see more dropping of Disney Plus and the Disney box office. We will see more articles covering a lack of content spend for 2023 and 24, ostensibly linked to the writer's strike, but we all know the truth. Disney needs consumers, and consumers need popular characters, and Disney does not want to give that. Until they change that plan, and until they step aside from divisive content and divisive messaging and putting stuff into children's programming that parents don't want, then Disney will continue to drop. That's just the way it is. It's 1 + 1 = 2. Disney doesn't like it, but that's the way it's going to be. And we know it. I know it. And so do you. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. This is not just a monologue from me reading articles to you and giving my analysis. Nay, that seems like a very boring way to carry out these videos. Instead, I'd like it to be an opening salvo. It's time for you now. You take the turn. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking. I read them. I respond to many of them. I care. Your thoughts truly do matter. Don't forget that the Pro Show will be tomorrow, Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And guess what? That is indeed coming up. 24 hours from the publication of this video, we'll be doing the live show, and we would love to have you there, along with all of our expert panelists. It'll be a great time. You know what? You all are the electricity that drives everything behind this channel and behind these videos. So I want to take a special moment just to say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who watches these, who's waiting at those times when we release. I look forward to announcing some big stuff in the future about this channel, about some changes coming that we think are going to greatly improve the content and improve the experience that we provide. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we try to do each and every day. We just want to do it better and better for you, because you deserve that. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and you bet, keep having fun.
Say it ain't so. This just in. Disney lost money on another movie. Why, that can't be. I thought that John Lasseter fella over at Pixar was cranking out the latest hits, and Marvel was unstoppable, and Disney princesses were a thing, and Star Wars was a multi-billion-dollar money-making franchise.
I overheard you talking about Disney, and wanted to let you know you're really behind the ball. If you were getting great articles from thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel, you'd actually be ahead of the culture curve and have entertainment explained.